in powerful and profound ways and change the world for the better. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day.
Okay, folks, so that was the latest Apple event where they announced some new AirPods, Apple Watches, and iPhones. So I'm going to give you a little summary of the Apple event. I'm going to talk to you about what's new, what's fresh, what's exciting, and I'm going to chat about some of the products that I'm interested in, maybe upgrading some of my Apple lineup myself. So let's get straight into it. The keynote started off with a quote from Steve Jobs about design, which is a nice touch. It's always nice to see some words from Mr. Jobs, the godfather of Apple, of course. And the keynote kicked off straight into the AirPods Pro 3. Now the AirPods Pro is a product that I love to bits. I've got the AirPods Pro 2 here. I don't have the USB-C version, I have the Lightning version, so I'm kind of due an upgrade. When they brought out the USB-C version, it wasn't something I wanted to upgrade just for the sake of the USB-C port. There was a few extra functions here and there. But now with the AirPods 3, maybe it's time for me to upgrade. I love this product so much. I have to say, of all my Apple products, I'm probably going to say that the AirPods is up there as probably one of my favorite Apple products of all time. The way they fit into my life, the use I get out of them, to be honest, I use them all day. These are key for my commute every single day. If you're familiar with London, you know that we travel on the underground trains, and some train lines are louder than others. I travel on the Jubilee line every day and it's very loud, and these are game changing for me. Every time I don't have these on me, I actually realize how loud those trains are. So I need these every day. They are so useful to me. I take phone calls on them, I watch videos, I listen to music, podcasts. They are clutch and they come in handy every single day. So an upgrade to this line is something I'm really excited about. So now with the AirPods 3, Apple say that there's a brand new custom architecture which improves bass and sound space through music, shows and calls. We have these new foam infused ear tips which apparently are going to help fit better in people's ears. I know the ear tips don't fit everyone's ears perfectly. I've got a few friends who just can't get on with the AirPod Pros. They get on well with the AirPods but not the AirPod Pros, so maybe these new foam tips are going to help. There's going to be 5 new sizes for the ear tips which should help, and apparently the actual AirPods themselves are going to be smaller. So now with the smaller size of the AirPods and the foam tips, Apple think they've solved that problem and they're going to fit a lot more ear types and ear sizes, which should be a good thing. They're actually saying that the noise cancellation is 4 times better than the previous model. So if they're saying that the noise cancellation is 4 times better than this, then I'm going to be blown away, because I still think that the noise cancellation of these are best in class. So one of the highlights in the keynote for me was their demonstration of live translation. It looks like we're going to have the AI powered live translation in these AirPods, which is going to be very, very cool. This means that somebody could speak to you in another language and your AirPods will translate that into your language in live time, and vice versa, meaning that if 2 people are wearing AirPods, you could be speaking 2 completely different languages and understanding each other. They also showed an example whereby you could be speaking into your iPhone and the iPhone itself could be presenting the translated language for the other person too, so they don't have to be wearing AirPods as well. But the nice touch is if you're wearing your AirPods using AI, everything that's coming into those AirPods is getting translated in live time for you to understand. I think that's a really, really cool touch. I know that Apple aren't first to this technology. I know that it's existed before, but it's great to have it in the AirPods now. They've also improved some of the durability of these with IP57 sweat and water resistance. That's a great shout, especially for the rainy weather for me here in London, but also for people who use their AirPods in the gym and for exercise. This is going to be a great feature. So with that in mind, interestingly now, the new AirPods can also sense your heartbeat. I use my Apple Watch for working out and it's a very effective way of measuring my heart rate for various activities. However, in this particular scenario, this is great because you can just use your AirPods now. You don't need to have an Apple Watch per se. You can use it with up to 50 various workouts and help you track your progress, which I think is a really cool touch. Apple's also introduced a new workout buddy, which is like a little AI coach, which is going to be speaking to you in your ear whenever you do activities with your watch, your phone or your AirPods, giving you motivation and telling you how you're doing. Another welcome improvement is battery life. Apple are now saying that you're going to get a longer battery life from 6 hours to 8 hours with ANC activated, which is great, and up to 10 hours when in transparency mode, which is great. The other good news is that the price hasn't changed. It still starts at $249, which I think is a relief for a lot of us who are worrying about price hikes with Apple products, and you can order them today and receive them on the 19th of September. So is there enough there to warrant an upgrade if you've already got AirPod Pros? I'd say from the generation 1, yes, absolutely. I'd say from the generation 2, it really comes down to actually getting my hands on these and seeing how much better they sound and whether that noise cancellation really is that much better. So I think I'll probably be getting myself a pair of these just because I use this product so much. So stay tuned and I'll let you know if the improvements are worth the upgrade for you too. So moving on, the next product they showcased today was the Apple Watch Series 11. Now, you know I love my Apple Watches. Right now I'm rocking an Apple Watch Ultra 2. So what have we got new here in the Apple Watch Series 11? So they say it's the thinnest Apple Watch. They say it's 2 times more scratch resistant than before. It's now got a 5G modem and a better antenna to provide better coverage and apparently improving battery performance, which makes sense. It's now got the high blood pressure, hypertension monitoring and notifications. Now this is an interesting one. So this is a new health feature with the Apple Watch Series 11. Basically, it's using data from the optical heart sensor and algorithm analysis on how your blood vessels respond to your heartbeat to look for chronic hypertension. So that's like high blood pressure. This is a nice feature. I think every single medical feature that the Apple Watch can offer has always been a welcome addition to this device. I think from day one, everybody appreciated what the Apple Watch was all about, but it really has refined itself as a device that can help you with your health and fitness, with your health monitoring, and also things like fall detection and the emergency SOS. The Apple Watch has actually become a bit of a lifesaver. It's one of the things in the keynote that Apple always like to remind people of, is just the stories of people having life-changing and life-saving experiences with Apple Watches. I don't think that's just slick marketing. I think that's very plausible. I do know that some of the functionality on the Apple Watch is really that good, and it really does have the potential to save lives. So you can't knock Apple for that. Along with this health update, they're also doubling down on their sleep tracking features of this watch, a sleep quality analysis score, which is great. I think gamifying anything in life is a useful way of getting better at things, getting into good habits. So if they give you a sleep score every day, I think it's a great way of knowing how you're doing with your sleep. I currently use a different sleep tracking app at the moment, where it gives me an idea of my personal battery percentage and how I'm doing every single day, how recharged I am or how recharged I'm not. So if Apple start doing something similar, I'm all for it. I'd love to see what kind of metrics it will capture and how this new sleep score will motivate me to get more sleep. Now, one of the things that got me hooked on my Apple Watch Ultra was the battery life. So Apple are now saying that the latest Series 11 is going to have 24 hours of battery life. That's great. If it does do that, that's going to be fantastic. That's all you really want. For me personally, I just want my battery life to get me through the day and through the night. And when I wake up the next morning, I'm getting ready for my next day, having a shower, etc. I just take my Apple Watch off and let it charge during that period of time. So that works really well for me. A 24-hour battery life will be great. So it's going to come in natural gold, titanium and slate, and the price is going to start at $399. So after that, they then showed us the Apple Watch SE3, which is a great entry point into the Apple Watch lifestyle from a lot of people. This one's going to feature the S10 chip, an always-on display, 5G. It's going to have the gesture controls, heart rate detection, fall detection, sleep tracking. It'll be able to play music directly from the Apple Watch itself. It'll have an 18-hour battery life, fast charging, and starts at $249. So that's a lot of features for an Apple Watch SE. I think that's a great price point and a great set of features if you want to get into the Apple Watch family. And then obviously there's the Apple Watch Ultra 3. So this has a new display with wide-angle OLEDs. It's brighter, and now that it has slimmer bezels, it's going to give you the impression that the display is a little bit bigger, and that extra bigger display is going to give you some extra features. This happened before with Apple Watches. Whenever they've been able to make that watch face just a little bit bigger, they've had complications and things that can take advantage of that extra space. We've got the 5G cellular included as well here, which is going to improve the coverage and battery performance, and it has a larger battery than before, so now offering 42 hours of battery life, which is brilliant. The Apple Watch Ultra was already the daddy when it came to batteries, but 42 hours is fantastic. And obviously all the new Apple Watches will be running Apple Watch OS 26. This one starts to $799, so it's obviously in the more pricier side. So for me personally, would I be upgrading my Apple Watch? I am very tempted by the Series 11, but to be very honest, this Apple Watch Ultra 2 still serves me well. I think it's a great thing when your Apple devices last the generations. I don't really have a compelling reason at the moment why I'd like to change my Apple Watch Ultra 2. The battery performance is still great. It's very rugged, very durable, and I guess you could say it's standing the test of time. And then we moved on to the main event, the iPhones. So today Apple introduced the iPhone 17. It has a new design in 5 colors, starts at 256 gigs storage. I believe across all the new iPhones that they're introducing, we're starting off with 256 gigs of storage, which I think is a great improvement. Nobody's going to complain about getting a decent amount of storage in their entry-level phone. It has the action button, a larger 6.3-inch display with smaller borders, 120 Hz ProMotion display, which is going to be fantastic. I think anybody who's experienced the ProMotion display knows that once you've experienced it, there's no going back. It has an always-on display which powers down to to 1 Hertz for the power saving kind of rest mode, 3000 nits of peak brightness, which is brilliant, a ceramic shield glass and ceramic shielding, which apparently provides 3 times better scratch resistance than before, which is always a welcome addition to any Apple iPhone. It has 7 layers of anti-reflection coating. It has the new A19 chip, updated display engine, enhanced neural engine for Apple Intelligence, 6-core CPU and 5-core GPU. It has the all-day battery life and 8 additional hours of screen time. Now, I always find the all-day battery life a little bit of an interesting statement. Whenever Apple don't give you an exact number for battery life, for example, look at the Apple Watch. They said that the Apple Watch has 42 hours of battery life, 24 hours of battery life. But whenever they say all-day battery life, that always feels a little bit vague to me. It feels like it depends on what your definition of all-day means. Does that mean 12 hours is your entire day? Does it mean that 18 hours is your entire day? Or does it mean 24 hours, depending on if you can stay awake that long? The point I'm trying to make is that all-day battery life is never really an accurate measure. It just makes me feel like it's a bit of a vague one that will vary from person to person and usage to usage. But Apple like to say all-day battery life. So it has 2 built-in cameras, a 48 megapixel fusion camera and a 12 megapixel telephoto camera. I think these are going to be great. The front camera has now got a larger sensor, allowing better framing and details. So the interesting thing about the front camera this time is it's a square sensor, and what this square sensor achieves for the iPhone is the ability to actually take landscape photos in portrait mode. So you know, when you're holding your phone and taking your selfie, if you're holding it that way, you're getting your portrait mode, and if you're holding it that way, you're getting your landscape mode. Well, with this new square sensor, you can actually hold it straight, and the wider sensor will actually allow you to get a landscape photo or to get more people in the shot. I think this is a really cool feature, and I can see it being used by loads of people. This phone starts at $799, which is no surprise. But if you do want a surprise, well, Apple introduced a brand new line of iPhones today. It's a terminology that I'm sure you're going to be very used to. It's now the thinnest iPhone that they've ever made, and of course they've called it the iPhone Air. Now, you know I love a little bit of Air product in my life. This is the MacBook Air. I'm a great fan of any Apple Air product whenever they're trying to do their magic with making thinner devices. As a person who really enjoys technology and design, I'm always excited when people can bring technology into smaller or thinner packages, and Apple love to do that. It's their way of flexing how great they are with their design techniques and their innovations. So the new iPhone Air is titanium, it's ceramically shielded front and back for that extra protection we spoke about earlier, with a 6.5-inch display and just 5.6 millimeters in thickness. That's pretty incredible. And this has got the A19 Pro chip now. It's got a 6-core CPU, the fastest CPU in any phone, and a 5-core GPU. It's got neural accelerators, and they say it's got MacBook Pro level performance chops, which is a pretty massive statement to make, especially in such a thin device. And you can see what Apple are trying to do here. Even though they're showing you that they've made this incredibly thin device, they've touted up the pro level features of it. They didn't want to just make an iPhone that was basically a basic iPhone in a thinner body. They're trying to say they've managed to squeeze an iPhone Pro or a MacBook Pro level device into the thinnest case, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty cool way of selling this product. It's got a single camera lens, which is an interesting choice, a 48 megapixel fusion camera with a built-in 2x telephoto lens as well. It defaults to 24 megapixels for its shots, and they're basically saying there's 2 decent cameras built into one here. So again, touting the fact that they can get that technology packed into a smaller package. It's got the center stage camera we mentioned in the iPhone 17 with that wider sensor, allowing you to take those landscape shots. And it's also got this cool new feature called dual capture video, meaning that it can record video from the front camera and the back camera at the same time. So one of the examples Apple said where this might be cool is if you're watching a sporting event and you want to film what's happening out on the field, but also film your reaction to any kind of situation where you're trying to film both things at the same time. So it's a pretty cool thing. I actually think it might be good for creators who are actually filming some B-roll, for example, and want to capture some of their own A-roll in the same shot. Not a bad thing at all. It's got an eSIM by default, which makes a lot of sense. Apple have obviously designed this to try and save as much space within the chassis of the phone as possible. So taking away the SIM tray once and for all was something that they just, I guess, would have to do. Most of us now converted over to eSIMs, and I don't have a problem with the eSIM revolution. It's been fine by me. It says it has all-day battery life. So here we go again, back with the all-day battery life. Nothing specific, just all day. So I think that's the big factor here, right? The iPhone Air could potentially be one of the coolest iPhones that we've ever seen, But if it's going to be this thin, it's going to be this small, the big question is, does the battery perform? Is it really going to hold up to a day's worth of use? Is that battery going to die on you pretty quick? So I think this device is going to live and die on its battery credentials, in my personal opinion. I can't deny that it's an incredibly cool looking device with its polished edges. I think it's a beautiful piece of technology, but if it doesn't last you for a whole day, then that could be a bit of an issue. So interestingly, they've got some new accessories for this, which include a battery pack. I'll come back to that in a second. A thin translucent case, and also bumpers. Bumpers are pretty cool. I haven't seen a bumper for a long time. So let's come back to that battery pack. So the battery pack's quite an interesting one. They spent a bit of time talking about that, and obviously how it magnetically attaches to the back of the phone. Now, this phone being so thin, adding a battery pack to it is not going to add a lot of size to it at all. But I think the fact that they are touting the battery pack as an accessory worth looking into, that might be a clue on the battery performance of this device. Now with the battery pack, obviously it's going to increase the usability of this device, which is great. And if it doesn't add a lot of bulk to it, that's also great. But I think there's a little bit of a clue in that, in the fact that they wanted to talk about the battery pack as one of the cool new accessories for this device. Like I said, might be a clue there. Let's see what the iPhone Air is like in person. This phone starts at $999, so it's on the pricey side. Yeah, I'll come back to my thoughts on the iPhone Air because I think it really does live and die on its performance. And then obviously we get to the Pro models. Now the iPhone Pro models are usually my favorite models. I've got an iPhone 16 Pro Max and I've had Pro models for the last couple of generations. The iPhone Pro models tend to be the highest spec and the highest technology advances that Apple can put into a phone, and this time around it's no disappointment. They have gone for an aluminium heat forged unibody design, which basically means the entire body or the entire chassis of this device is actually made from one piece of aluminium, which is pretty cool. You had one of those classic Apple manufacturing videos where they show this beautiful slab of aluminium being crafted into the shape of a phone, which is always lovely to see. I kind of miss those days when Johnny Ive used to be the person who present those kind of videos. He'd have his very calming, very gentle British voice speaking over the design elements of new Apple products. So a bit of a moment there where you could see that happening. Yeah, it's beautiful as usual. You know, Apple design is always lovely to see. And yeah, this time around everything's about thermal performance. So they're saying the new aluminium body has 20 times better thermal performance. I think it's quite interesting because obviously we were sold titanium as the future, and now we're brought back to aluminium as having its own characteristics which make it the superior metal. So the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to have the 6.9 inch screen, and the smaller one will be the 6.3 inch screen. And again, a lot of the focus in this particular part of the keynote was about thermal management for this device. And one of the coolest features of this phone is the inclusion of a vapor chamber. Yes, I said vapor chamber. It has deionized water inside it to improve heat management, which is sealed in there. Obviously there's not water that's going to flush around inside of your phone as you shake it around. It's deionized water in a little vapor chamber that apparently is going to help with the thermal management, which is pretty cool. And one of the things they wanted to keep reiterating about this phone is that it's got the biggest battery in any iPhone before. They talked a lot about the internal architecture of this device having made space for that bigger battery. Again, things like eSIM replacing the physical SIM tray. What's interesting here is the redesign on the cameras. You've got your 3 cameras as usual, but they've gone for this kind of rectangular raised part of the device, which Apple call the plateau. So this is the new Apple jargon of this keynote. Every single keynote you tend to get a brand new piece of Apple wordage. From the dynamic island, for example. Now we have the plateau. So every time they referred to the camera bump, it was called the plateau. Obviously a plateau means a raised peak. So the raised peak of the device itself. This new plateau has 3 cameras built into it with a 48 megapixel Fusion main camera, a 48 megapixel Fusion ultra wide camera, and a 48 megapixel Fusion telephoto camera. So that means all 3 of the lenses are 48 megapixel, which is huge. That's amazing. And Apple say this translates to having 8 pro camera lenses in your pocket, a 200mm, a 100mm, a 48mm, a 35mm, a 28mm, a 24mm, a 13mm, and a macro millimeter lens in your pocket, which is pretty cool. I mean, for me personally, my iPhone Pro has probably my #1 shooter. I obviously have different cameras in my life, but I gotta say the camera that's on you every day is the camera you're gonna use the most. And I absolutely love the camera on my iPhone. It's one of the reasons why I keep going for the Pro line of iPhones, and it's probably one of the reasons why I'll stick with the Pro line of iPhones. Again, I'll come back to my choice on iPhones in a minute, but yeah, loving the new camera technology in this. This is exciting. And obviously we've got the 18 megapixel front center stage camera on this as well. And for the pro videographers out there, it shoots in ProRes RAW, which is great. And it really does have the ability to be your main camera in any type of video production, whether you're making movies, YouTube videos, or, you know, documentaries. I mean, the iPhone camera has become an indispensable tool for a lot of creators for a long time now. And as I said, for me, it's my #1 shooter. So this has obviously got the A19 Pro chip in it. It says it's got 40% better performance than the 16 Pro, which is going to be pretty cool. The 16 Pro is no slouch. So if you're telling me this is 40% better, that's quite a significant jump. It has no glass at the back. It has the ceramic shield in the front and back and all that extra durability as we mentioned before. In the other devices, it has 39 hours of video playback, which is an impressive number there. Again, interesting, right? So we've got numbers now, 39 hours of video playback rather than just all day battery. So we're getting the idea that this is going to have a very, very good battery performance. Now, to be honest with you, the Pro Max iPhones always did have the best battery performance. And if they're saying this is the biggest battery in an iPhone ever, then it's clear to see that we're going to have a good battery performer here again. And I think generally speaking, the messaging with the iPhone Pros were that this is just a beast performer. This is the one that you want if you're serious about your photography, if you're serious about your battery life, if you're serious about your productivity with this device. The Pro line has always been the device that's going to be able to handle the biggest tasks. So with all the benefits of the previous devices that we spoke about, this is obviously just maxing out everything that you can possibly do with an iPhone. This also starts with 256 gigs of storage, which is great, but the price starts at $1099, which is no surprise. It's sad that it's no surprise anymore. You know, look, it's the iPhone Pro, it's the top of the line, it's the GOAT for some people, it's the pound for pound champ for some people. So, you know, you can't be mad at Apple for charging the price that they do. You're still gonna buy it, aren't you? Now, with that being said, am I gonna buy it? Well, it's interesting because I'm actually in the iPhone upgrade program. Although I'm a YouTube creator, I'm not sponsored or given anything by anyone. Every single product that you see on my channel was bought from with my own money. But when it comes to the iPhone, I'm on the iPhone program, which means that I pay a monthly amount, and every single year I'm able to upgrade the iPhone, which is great. So I don't buy my iPhones outright. I'm able to upgrade it on the annual cycle, which is brilliant. For me, I just love having the latest, coolest tech, and it's a great way of doing it. So I will be getting a brand new iPhone. The question is though, which iPhone will I be getting? Now, I gotta be honest with you, I'm really tempted by the Air. I think it's a really cool product. They kind of caught me when they were saying they're putting all the Pro elements into it. But if I'm to be honest, I can just feel that this is going to be one of those generation ones where all of the cool factors and how it looks, but not on how it performs. I know that when I go to an Apple store and feel one in the flesh, I'm probably going to fall in love, but I think I do want to experience a brand new piece of technology, and I think the iPhone Air will feel different enough to be that piece of tech. But then as I mentioned with my creator hat on here, as a creator, the iPhone Pro devices are a no-brainer. They really do become a key, essential part of any creator's toolkit, and I'd probably miss not having the high-performing iPhone in the Pro series if I ended up giving it up for an Air. But never say never. Let's see what happens. The pre-ordering will begin soon. I'll be doing my homework and doing my research, and I'll let you guys know which iPhone I end up buying. So stay tuned. As soon as I get my hands on the new iPhone, you'll know which one I get. And obviously I'll be sharing with you my thoughts and feelings about the new device and giving you some recommendations if you should get one too. So to summarize, will I be getting the AirPods? Probably. Will I be getting the new Apple Watch? I don't think so. And will I be getting a new iPhone? Yes. So stay tuned and you'll find out which one. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you soon. Until next time, see ya. Peace.